What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. Shout out to my girl, Unique Denise, okay, and her granny. We were talking earlier today in the comment section, and I just love my subscribers because she definitely gave me inspiration for this Throwback Thursday. We were talking about how our grandparents grew up on Westerns, and I'm not sure if they knew, they probably did, you know, the Buffalo Soldiers were Black. And from what I understand, the history that I researched, and from what I learned, is that the first cowboys were Black. That's why they were called cowboys, okay? And they were essentially cowhands. They, tamed the horses and really dealt with the cattle. Well, a lot of, the cowboys became outlaws as well, right? They wanted to go out west. They wanted to expand their territory, search for gold, live a free life. And so that's exactly what they did. So we're going to cover the 1993 film Posse. Okay, it's a Western and it was directed by and starring Mario Van Peebles. And this cast is amazing. I saw this when I was a little kid, and it just hits differently, when you're an adult and you find out the truth about cowboys, okay? Because, growing up, a lot of, I know, like my mom's generation, of course, my grandparents' generation, they grew up on like Gunsmoke and Bonanza, and all that's cool. But the real deal cowboys, they were the ones that were getting down and dirty and, you know what I mean? And they knew the ranches like the back of their hands. And I'm so proud of the Peoples family, Mario and his dad, Melvin Peoples. He recorded a new song for this called Cruel Jim Crow, specifically for this film. It was his first music recording in 20 years. And if you guys remember, Melvin, he was big in his own right, but Melvin and Mario Van Peeples were on Living Single, both dating Regine. But that's another story for another day. Okay, so Posse. The film tells us about a posse of African American soldiers and one ostracized soldier, white soldier. Okay, and they're all betrayed by a corrupt colonel. So the story starts with the group escaping with the cachet of gold, and they continue with their leader Jesse Lee, who of course is played by Mario Van Peebles. And they're taking revenge on the men who killed his father, who was a preacher. The story is presented as a flashback and is told by an unnamed old man. I love the plot of this. The title of the film refers to the group of men summoned to help the law enforcement officers. And I also want to point out Sally Richardson, who's standing next to Mario Van Peebles. She was, gorgeous. She still is gorgeous, but she was an actress back then. She was the main lead character, played Lana in this movie. And now she's a director, I believe, as well. So shout out to Sally Richardson. But in 1998, the convicted prisoners, the Buffalo Soldiers of the U.S. Army, led by Jesse Lee, they fought in the Spanish-American War in Cuba, and they fought in the segregated unit. And they were barely, holding their own against the constant attacks from the enemy troops. So Jesse Lee runs back to the command post, and he's confronted by the racist Colonel Graham, who's played by Billy Zane. And he basically tries to set them up to get them killed, which is a common occurrence in a lot of different wars. So he orders Jesse to shoot a white prisoner in exchange for allowing his group to retreat. He's unable to kill a man in cold blood, and Jesse demonstrates excellent marksmanship by shooting the man's cigar from his mouth. Colonel Graham kills the prisoner, and then he offers him Little J, who's played by Stephen Baldwin, and another white prisoner whose alternative would be facing the firing squad. So then Graham orders Jesse and his men to fall back to begin another mission where they are wearing civilian clothing as opposed to their cavalry uniforms, and they're ordered to rob a Spanish gold shipment. This, I'm telling you, this guy, Billy Zane's character, is super corrupt. And it's a setup, right? Like he's trying to constantly set them up to give the colonel an excuse to execute Jesse Lee and all his men, the 10th Cavalry. So, of course, Jesse Lee finds out and they escape, they flee. So, and his men are a Bobo, which is played by Tiny Lester. Y'all remember he played Debo in Friday. Angel, who's Tone Loc, which, you know, Tone Loc is a legend. You got to be a certain age to remember Tone Loc. And Little J, played by Stephen Baldwin. I remember I was singing the song Wild Thing, which was like real big, but way back in the day. And this guy was like, girl, what you know about Wild Thing? What you know about Tone Loc? You ain't old enough to know about him. I'm like, I'm not old enough to know about the Temptations either, but you know what I'm saying? I'm a two-step with the best of them, okay? But anyway, so Tone Loc is in this, Lil J. Okay, so they sneak out of Cuba and they go to New Orleans. So soon after their arrival, Little J, played by Stephen Baldwin, he meets a gambler named Father Time, who's Big Daddy Kane, another old school rapper. Mario Van Peebles, I'm telling you, when he does a movie, he does it right. They start playing poker. And at this point, Father Time is caught cheating. So Little J helps the gambler escape and they go back to the hotel room while the others are hiding. And they, you know, tell him, like, listen, we were never here, okay? In fear that the vengeful gamblers might come for them. And doing just as Little J feared, the gamblers came and searched for him and Father Time, only to be shot in the back by Colonel Graham and his troops, okay, who survived the skirmish and, you know, the fight that happened in Cuba. So Angel, Tone Loc's character, is killed in the firefight, while Little J, Father Time, and the others barely escape, and they meet up with Jesse, who left earlier to finish some business in a town out west. So the newly formed posse heads west with Colonel Graham on their heels the entire way. They eventually stop in a town where Jesse has ammunition custom made of gold. Bad, okay? I'm telling you, he bad. Oh. So then the posse, they find what's called Freemanville, okay? It's a thriving Black town, and they enjoy the hospitality there until Carver tells them that the town will burn unless Jesse is turned over to him and his deputies, which Jesse and his men, Father Time, they soon rescue everybody in the town by posing as Ku Klux Klan members and storming into the jail. Jesse kills one of the deputies and then another one of King David's murderers. And then he shoots and kills the mayor, Bates does. So meanwhile, Carver plans to flee with all the deeds to the property in Freemanville, all which are in his name, but is stopped by Sally Richardson's character, Lana. So Father Time shows up just in time to stop Carver from harming Lana. And he kills one of Carver's deputies, but then he's in turn killed by Carver. So of course, you know, Jesse Lee shows up, kills Bates in the showdown, and Colonel Graham, of course, shows up, captures Lana, and orders Jesse to come into the saloon where they have a fight resulting, a showdown, a good old Western showdown, resulting in Graham's death. And then the destruction of the saloon, because Graham had to set that afire before he got shot and died. So then Jesse and the rest of his team and Lana, they watch as the townspeople try to fight the fire. And the story ends almost a century later with the old man being interviewed by reporters about Black cowboys in the Old West. The man, who was a young boy when he met Jesse in Freemanville, gives the reporters a small book that Jesse gave him. In the end, the caption goes on to tell there were over 8,000 Black cowboys in the Old West whose stories have never been told due to omission by Hollywood and others alike. So there you have it. Unique Denise, give Granny a big hug from me. Y'all drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about Posse and any other really good Black cowboy movies that you might have watched as a kid, or if you know any Black cowboys, I definitely want to hear from you. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and y'all have a wonderful Thursday. Go watch a cowboy movie or go hug your grandparents for me. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.